Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives are down another MP today. So what does this mean for Poilievre's leadership? Well, to talk about this and other national issues is Toronto Sun political columnist and regular BCN contributor, Brian Lilley. Brian, hello, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Okay. So, Brian, Mark Carney has appointed Richard Martel, the Conservative MP from, you're going to have to help me with this area in Quebec.
Chicoutimi.
Thank you. Chicoutimi in Quebec to the Senate. So he's been appointed to the Senate. So, Brian, why would Carney choose Martel, and what does this mean for Poilievre and the Conservative Party?
Well, I'm not sure the exact reason of why he chose Martel. He's been an MP since 2018. Before that, he was a very popular hockey coach in that region. And that's how the Conservatives poached him and were able to get him to win. He's well liked by his colleagues. So he isn't crossing the floor. I want to make that clear. He isn't crossing the floor. He has taken a Senate appointment. Now, one of the reasons that the Liberals would be interested in Martel becoming a senator is it opens up his seat in Chicoutimi, which is an area a couple hours drive north of Quebec City on the Saguenay region. It opens it up for a by-election. Well, this area, in the last election, it was a tight three-way race. Martel won by a couple thousand votes, but the Bloc and the Liberals were right behind him. With Martel gone, a popular man in the region, who was the incumbent, the Liberals have a very good shot at winning this. You add in the fact that Mark Carney is polling extremely high in Quebec, that the Liberal Party is at least at 40%, if not higher in that province. The Conservatives are down around 20%. And that, well, the area has CFB Bagotville. It's the eastern equivalent of CFB Cold Lake in Alberta. What is housed there? Our fighter jet fleet. And they're about to make a big announcement about buying fighter jets. So the Liberals have appointed Martel. He may end up sitting as a Conservative senator, by the way. We don't know that yet. They're all appointed as independents. That's the way the Liberals have decided to do this. So they're all appointed as independents. Once he's in, he may decide to sit with the Conservative caucus that's still there. But yeah, this is a golden opportunity for Mark Carney to go in, reduce Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives' numbers yet, and increase his majority government.
Yeah. How likely is it for somebody to actually sit as an independent when they've been so affiliated with a certain party? Interesting.
You know, there are many who claim to be independent senators, but the independent Senate group, all appointed by Trudeau, these are Mark Carney's first Senate appointments, they tended to vote with the Liberals more than former Liberal senators. So Martel has a good relationship with Leo Housakis, who is the Conservative leader in the Senate. They're both from Quebec. They know each other well. They have a good relationship. Housakis has been out on social media saying positive things and welcoming Martel to the Senate. So there's a good chance that he will go over and sit with them. That's my view, but no firm word at this point.
Yeah. Out here in the West, we're celebrating a little thing called the Calgary Stampede. The greatest outdoor show on earth is what it's known as. And you were critical of Poilievre in a column based on comments that he made in Calgary at the Stampede barbecue. So you are questioning whether Poilievre even wants to be prime minister. So why would you ask that, or why would you say that?
Look, I think Pierre Poilievre has a lot of great policies. His tactics leave a lot to be desired, and that's shown in the polling. The Canadian public is not warming up to him. In fact, he's gone down in the polls. He's lost MPs. And what was he doing at the start of his speech at the Stampede barbecue on Saturday? He was picking needless fights within the Conservative movement. He was introducing Carrie Lynn Finlay, the former Conservative MP who's just been elected as the leader of the BC Conservatives. And he said, oh, it's great to see her here. She's just come off a big win against Liberal lobbyists from out east. He was referring to the campaign team of Caroline Elliott, who finished second in the BC Conservative leadership race. Who were the people on Caroline Elliott's campaign? Well, people like Corey Tenaik, who is Doug Ford's campaign manager, famously said negative things about Poilievre's campaign and tactics in the last federal election. But he took that swipe at Tenaik, and by extension, Doug Ford. So he's never going to, fix the relationship with Doug Ford, who has won 3 majority governments in Ontario as a Conservative, which is no easy feat. He should be trying to get everyone to row in the same direction. He should be getting everyone who's closely affiliated with the Conservative Party to be on his team. Instead, he was picking a fight, but he also alienated a whole bunch of people because Caroline Elliott's team was not just Corey Teneycke. There's this narrative from some of the Conservative movement that it's just these people from Ontario. No, there was a lot of BC Conservatives and a lot of people who had worked closely with and for Pierre Poilievre over the last several years who were on Elliott's campaign. They're now furious at him. You don't win in politics by taking out, support. Politics, as I like to say, is about addition, not subtraction. And whether we're talking about him losing Richard Martel or picking needless fights within the movement and alienating parts of the Conservative movement, Pierre Poilievre is in the subtraction game right now, not the addition game. And he's got to fix that. Or, I've never seen a leader lose 5 MPs within just over a year and survive. We'll see if he does.
Right, exactly. Time will tell. Getting back to this Senate appointment on Tuesday morning, who else did Mark Carney appoint? Are there other vacancies also left?
Yeah, so there's still 5 vacancies, none in Alberta. And it'll be interesting to see when an Alberta vacancy does come open. Does the Prime Minister choose one of these senators in waiting? Justin Trudeau never did that. You guys hold your elections for Senate, and then you have the senators in waiting. Justin Trudeau absolutely refused to consider that, and he appointed a bunch of activists. Carney, he appointed Martel, who is a Conservative. So there is an old tradition that Justin Trudeau never took part in of appointing people from other parties to the Senate. So in addition to Martel, there was Dr. Rodney Willett. He's a physician, scientist, researcher from New Brunswick. There was Gita Tucker from Manitoba, who's a chartered public accountant and active in the business community. And then there was Tom Pitfield, who I guess until today was Mark Carney's principal secretary, a top advisor, and had been with him in the campaign. And some people will get upset at that and say, oh, well, that's a partisan appointment, a patronage appointment. I only get upset at those kinds of appointments when the person isn't qualified. And Tom Pitfield, while I disagree with him wholeheartedly on policy, and we've gotten into arguments online on X, he is a competent and qualified person for the job. So still 5 vacancies, 2 in Quebec, 1 in Manitoba, and I believe 1 in Nova Scotia, and I'm missing the other one.
Okay. It seems like a lot of politicians have been coming out west here to visit the Stampede. As I was mentioning before there with Poilievre, Prime Minister Mark Carney also dropped by the Stampede quickly last week for a pipeline announcement with Premier Danielle Smith, followed by Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who was in town Monday. He showed up for his own pipeline announcement with Premier Smith. So is Alberta suddenly winning on the pipeline front?
Absolutely. And you can see it in the polling. Global News had a story out last week. They obtained polling done by the Prime Minister's office that showed a 2/3 majority across the country support more pipelines. And it was pipelines plural. It wasn't just a West Coast pipeline. And so, Danielle Smith is picking up W's all over the place. She has gotten Mark Carney to move further than most of us thought possible on stepping forward with a pipeline. Is it a done deal yet? No. Is there still a lot of work to do? Yeah. Could it go wrong? Sure. But my colleague, Lauren Gunter, writes for the Edmonton Sun. He said he was a complete cynic and thought nothing would ever happen. And he was writing after the announcement last week with Carney and Smith about how, okay, I'm no longer a cynic. I'm just a skeptic, but things look like they're moving in the right direction. The Doug Ford announcement with Premier Smith is interesting because it's Ontario coming forward and saying, we're going to pay for a feasibility study that will be completed by the end of the year on what they're calling the Northern Shield Energy Corridor. And so this would be for an oil pipeline that would carry 500 million barrels a day, 500 million barrels a day from Hardisty in Alberta to Sarnia in Ontario. That's the heart of Ontario's refining industry. And from there, it could go on further. We'll see. there's going to be a lot of consultations on that. That's a long way away. But it would give us a pipeline that doesn't cut through the United States. And right now, the Democrats in the United States are constantly threatening to cut off Line 5, which carries the oil from Western Canada to Eastern Canada right now. They don't like it. They want it shut down. And so this is a good idea. But it also shows, we were talking earlier about politics is addition, not subtraction. Premier Smith is working with Mark Carney. Some people call her a traitor for that. She's working with him because she has to. And she doesn't agree with Mark Carney on policy, but she's finding a way to craft something they can both agree with. I don't think that there is a warm and fuzzy relationship between Premier Smith and Premier Ford either, but they look like best friends standing on the stage together on Monday, didn't they?
Did. Yes, they did.
So that's what successful politicians do. And that's something that Pierre Poilievre could learn from Danielle Smith, is working with other people as opposed to alienating them.
Right. Yeah. They know how to play the game. Do you think that this should give David Eby some pause a little bit as well? He's been
this gives David Eby billions. You saw the condo announcement and other announcements in British Columbia. Mark Carney, David Eby had a bunch of requests, and Mark Carney went in with the federal checkbook and said, okay, here you go. Now, shut up about the pipeline that I'm going to bring in from Alberta. It is the southern route for the federal and provincial proposal. It is the southern route that goes into Vancouver as opposed to going north to, say, Prince Rupert. There are advantages to going north to Prince Rupert, but this is also the easier option. And take a win when you can get a win.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last November, Prime Minister Carney went to the United Arab Emirates and announced a trade deal and the promise of the UAE's Sovereign Wealth Fund to invest up to $70 billion in Canada. So why is that investment now on hold, Brian?
Because we are not ready. I'll give kudos to the Prime Minister and have for moving forward on at least talking about the pipeline proposal to the West Coast through Vancouver. Good for that. But he talks a lot about building at speeds not seen in generations. And he talks about the Major Projects Office. Things aren't moving the way they should. They're still being slowed down by his own bureaucracy. And so the UAE was like, yeah, sure, we want to invest. And what do they want to invest in? Well, the energy sector, liquefied natural gas, pipelines for that product, AI data centers, things like that, big projects. And a lot of that would end up with investment in Alberta. But we are simply not ready. The word is that they looked and were warned and said, we do not have the shovel-ready projects for you. So, will the UAE, the Emiratis just sit there and wait for us to be ready? Or are they going to invest that money elsewhere? We don't know, but there is the risk that they just say, okay, Canada's not ready. Where else can we put our money to get a big return?
Yeah. You had mentioned earlier the fighter jets. So still no word on those fighter jets on that front in terms of whether we will buy all the F-35s that were promised. But the Carney government did make another major announcement on Canada buying submarines. So what's your assessment of this announcement, buying from Germany?
It's good. It's long overdue. I mean, I know that the West Edmonton Mall doesn't have submarines in it anymore, but at one point they had more working subs than Canada, than the Royal Canadian Navy. So this is a good thing. It was between two companies. I have spoken to senior people in the Royal Canadian Navy. They said that they would be happy with either company winning. Two very capable subs, two very different subs. At one point, they looked at doing a mixed fleet, 6 Korean, 6 German. My only potential criticism here is that the German subs may take longer to be delivered, and the Navy saying we need these subs yesterday. But we won't see them until perhaps 2034, 2035 for the first delivery. So that's a long way off, but we are moving in the right direction.
All right. We're out of time here, but Brian Lilley, Toronto Sun political commentator, thanks so much for joining us today once again.
Thank you.